Welcome to Unshackled, Reclaim Your Life, the podcast that equips you with the information you need to take control of your future. Hosted by Bill Steffens and co-host Jay Schreckengast. In each episode, we connect you with individuals who have triumphed over severe injuries, insurmountable debt, and life-changing setbacks. You'll not only hear their inspirational stories, but also receive expert insights on healing and growth. Our goal is to provide you with the knowledge and tools to reclaim your life. Now, let's dive in and start your journey to empowerment.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bill Steffens, the senior attorney at the Steffens Law Office. Welcome to this episode of Unshackled. First of all, I want to introduce the other people here on your screen and joining me in this episode. First of all, Jay Schreckengast. Jay is our lead attorney in our personal injury work in the office. Also, we're lucky enough today to have Michelle Philmeyer, who is our marketing director. Hey, Michelle, thanks for joining us. So today, we're going to be talking about the dangers of social media when you start posting information about your accident or injury. First of all, I just wanted to turn to Jay. I think we've all had a few experiences here, but kind of review for us, Jay. So this just sounds like such an innocent thing. I talk to family and friends on social media, be it Facebook or whatever. I tell them what's going on. Why on earth wouldn't you want to talk with them about your accident or your injury?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's perfectly natural in today's digital age to want to share your thoughts and feelings. People connect with each other more than ever on social media. And even though I'm 46 and I'm over half dead, I know that the people younger than me are quite frequently utilizing many different platforms and media to try to connect with each other, both in their own neighborhoods and cities and around the world. So it's perfectly natural to share your thoughts and feelings throughout the day. And when something as life impacting as an accident or some kind of personal injury incident hits you and you're a victim of that, of course, you would turn to social media as an outlet to share what you're thinking, what you're feeling, to connect with others that are close to you, both, again, in your neighborhood and around the world about what's going on with your life. The problem is, and you don't need me to tell you, maybe listen to your mom or dad, when you post or you create a digital record of these thoughts and feelings and impressions, and we'll talk a little bit more deeply about what we typically see and have to combat and what helps us in our cases with social media. But there's a digital record out there, and just like every cops episode I ever watched when you're a kid and the police is arresting the person on the screen, what you say can and will be used against you. I guess we'd say what you type can be used against you in a court of law.
Oh, and isn't that the truth? We just live in this world where every defense attorney and every insurance company has a little spin on everything you say and do. And sometimes it just surprises the unwitting individual who says, how could you turn that around and try to say I meant this? Hard to understand sometimes. So, Michelle,
Things are
you're
taken out of
expert.
context all the time.
Yeah. I'm sure that's surprising and unsettling to clients. Michelle, just your viewpoint on this. You're really the expert in our office on social media. For those out there who have not checked out our office on Facebook, Michelle does a marvelous job of posting what's going on in the office, but we never talk about accidents.
No.
Even though a few of us have had a little accident or two, those of us who ride motorcycles and bicycles and that sort of thing, but we don't want to go there. Let's talk about your viewpoint on all this, Michelle, and you probably have all the numbers and facts and figures about people on social media, but you post for us and are very familiar with us. So, Michelle, what's your take on this?
Everybody puts their whole life on social media, and they think they're sharing with their friends and their family to keep everybody informed what's going on in their life. And, it needs to be locked down. We have privacy settings on all our social media, and it does. You never know when you're going to be in an accident. And, making sure that your privacy settings are locked down, that your friends and family can't tag you in posts without you approving them. I mean, even those innocent things that you do every day on social media, because we are on social media a lot, can hurt your case. even if it's not you posting, it could be a family member posting or an event that you're at. And, there's marketers everywhere taking photos at every event and they're posting all their stuff publicly.
Right. Sure. So I would think that our listeners out there were kind of wondering, well, as a practical matter, how does this really work? And I thought we might be able to give a few examples. I know one comes to mind, medical malpractice case that we worked on. And in this particular case, of course, we're not going to go into names here, but in this particular case, a woman had a surgery and the doctor left a sponge there in her and sewed her up. They didn't discover the problem months later. She had all kinds of health problems that led to another surgery, which is also botched. So then she comes to us. We found that there was no mediation or settlement without filing the suit. So we were forced to do that. And then we entered what's called discovery. And not to go into all the details of what that is, but as soon as you file a lawsuit, we go into that area of the suit called discovery, where the other side is going to ask you questions in writing that need to be answered in writing. And then they ask for documents as well. So one of the questions in the suit, long story short, is that give us 5 years of all of your social media postings, all of them, everything. And we objected, and they came back with, well, tell us how that doesn't fit into the discovery rules. And most people, I think, would think, well, that doesn't seem relevant at all. Why would that be relevant? And this is such an obvious case. Well, the rule of law is that any question asked of you that's likely to lead to relevant information or facts is discoverable. Well, they argued, well, how do we know what went on with this lady 5 years ago? Maybe somebody else left the sponge in. Maybe there's more to this than meets the eye. We had to produce it. 5 years worth of social media was going to come in. And that may be shocking to some, but that's a real life story. And there wasn't a way around that. And I don't know that everyone would be comfortable divulging 5 years of all of their social media pictures, everything you posted, the whole works.
Bill, what if somebody deleted posts? You're going to court and they go in and delete posts. How is that going to hurt your case?
So, and you might actually have the answer to that. I went to a seminar a few years ago with an attorney that one of his specialties was working with a specialist to remove that sort of data from someone's computer, that if you delete it and they have reason to believe it's there, that can be removed, that can be picked up, it's still there. And I suppose there are cases where the damages are high enough, or potential damages, that would be a real problem. I know that it's unethical for an attorney to advise the client to erase it. We can't do that. So there actually can be more problems created by the client trying to cover that up.
I agree. Even if you post something and you delete it, somebody could have took a screenshot of it. I mean, what you put out there in the digital world is out there forever.
Now, it's something that it's one of those things that it's like a minefield, you got to tiptoe around it. You don't even recognize it's a minefield to begin with, and you unwittingly step in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Your case explodes. Jay, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think you both are making some excellent points. Maybe I would just add that, people may think with modern day platforms like Snapchat and Slack and Telegram, some of these platforms, they have effervescent communications where they actually erase themselves after a certain period of time, so you're safe. But that is never the case. In fact, Bill was just talking about a case where there's a professional that goes through your computer to find different information. But what about going to those platforms themselves and serving them with a subpoena? They may have nothing to do with the lawsuit at all. But if we serve a subpoena on those entities and we can show that our questions are reasonably calculated to elicit relevant information, Google, Apple, some of the largest digital platform companies in Silicon Valley, they will produce that information either to your benefit or to your detriment, as the case may be. So it's true when Michelle and Bill say it's a minefield, that you really got to be careful. It's not to say that social media can't always help you as well. I mean, we had one case I recall where we were helping a wonderful client, a young cowboy. from the mountains of Idaho. And this was one of our all-time, I'm sure Bill would agree, one of our all-time favorite clients, a real cowboy, didn't go anywhere without his boots, his rifle, and his dog. One day, right? One, I don't want to say his name or the dog's name, but to protect client confidence. But this young man was traveling from a job to another state, all the way across the country, and he happened to be going through Nebraska, and he was hit hard by another driver head on a highway and suffered a broken back. What we had to show to the insurance company was that this young man could never fully recover from his injuries, that he had such a lifestyle prior to the accident that he did things that mere mortals like me could never do on a horse. I'm talking about riding through the thickest country you've ever imagined with packs, for days on end. He could do trick riding where he was standing and riding on two horses at once. Amazing things. And we got that in and put that in front of the insurance company by showing his social media accounts where he had posted pictures of himself and others around him, his friends had shown pictures and video of him doing these things. And even though it wasn't relevant to the accident, it certainly was relevant to his lifestyle and what he was able to do with his body and his incredible physical fitness prior to the accident. So that's just one example of how social media, by creating a digital record of your life, can help you as well as hurt you. But it's good, as Michelle says, to be mindful that what you post, what friends post, if you're at a public event, people are taking pictures, those things will likely end up on the internet, and they'll be out there for people like Bill and I to find and use, either to someone's benefit or detriment.
Yeah. And there's private Facebook accounts and groups out there that you think your conversations are private because only certain members are let in. Again, screenshot, somebody posts it somewhere else, it's out there.
Absolutely. In fact, I recall one case not too long ago where a gentleman had been arrested for DUI, and he was adamant that he was not drinking and that he wasn't under the influence. And later on, it turned out that his blood alcohol results showed a 0. But the prosecution was still showing, they were still making an argument that he was driving while impaired, even though he didn't meet the legal limit for alcohol. This is a civil case. What they were able to show is through his social media accounts, they were able to find that he had tagged himself. And for those of you who don't know, when you tag yourself, it just means you're putting a pin on a map to show the world where you are at a certain location at a certain date and time. You're not saying anything, you're not talking about anything, but you're pinpointing your location. Where did he tag himself? Oh, at a local bar. And then the prosecution was able to go back to that bar and interview the employees. And he was quite talkative that night and having a lot of fun. They were able to remember him. And those statements served to be absolutely to his detriment. And they were able to show that he was driving while impaired and caused injury, and they showed causation. So yet another example of no words, no talking, nothing that he did intentionally to harm himself still came back to bite him.
Unfortunate. Well, that reminds me of a case years ago. This was actually, I'm remembering the first time I ran into this social media surprise. And so the case of a man that was in a restaurant with a friend working out of town. And so they're in this restaurant, have a nice meal, they're leaving, and one of the cooks walks out behind him. He's walking out yelling at him, something about, he was claiming that our client had made an inappropriate remark to his waitress, who was the cook's girlfriend. And so there is this argument about, no, I did, so and so forth. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. And the client does the right thing. He's going to walk away like, okay. I'm going to leave now. And so he gets sucker punched by the cook. It breaks the guy's jaw in 3 places. He goes to the ER. They wire his jaw shut, and he's that way eating and drinking through a straw for weeks. And so, this is awful. We took the case. Nice guy, goes through this long treatment. We send off the demand to the insurance company, and the adjuster calls me one day. And she says, yeah, I read your demand about this nice family man goes out to eat while he's working out of town. He's just trying to catch a meal, and he gets punched by the cook. Have you ever looked at this man's Facebook page at all? And I said, yeah, that wouldn't be something we'd normally do with clients, right? And so she says, well, the man you're describing in your letter to me isn't quite the guy I'm seeing on Facebook. I don't see this nice, peaceful man that just might go out for a quick dinner with a friend. I don't see that guy on Facebook. And so he gave me his Facebook information. Go on. Here's this guy flexing his muscles, shirt off, partying with friends, beer in both hands. It kind of destroyed the image we were trying to create this guy. We went on to settle the case, but you could just hear the value going out like a balloon deflating. It was not pretty. And I imagine we're going to have some more of those. It just happens to people, but I'm glad we have this opportunity really to talk with the public and clients of ours about this. And just as a good reminder, you really have to be careful. Jay, what would you think would be the best advice to clients, our clients in the office? Is there general advice we can give them about this?
Well, I think the best advice I could give is move immediately to a cave with no electricity, internet, or light, or sound. Cut off all communication with your friends for 20 years. Live a monk's lifestyle. And then maybe the insurance industry won't be able to find or uncover anything negative about you. All kidding aside, I think we recognize at Stefan's Law Offices that you got to live your life. You got to go about your day. And, part of our job is trying to show you that this accident, it will run its course. It will be over one day and you'll get back to your life as you lived it prior to being injured. That's, I think, the best advice that I can give people is be mindful. You don't have to go to law school or be a trial lawyer to understand that what you place on social media will likely be there forever. And even if you're not an injury victim or someone who's thinking about litigation in the near future, I think it's just best practices for a future job that you might want or marrying that perfect person to portray your best self on social media. You don't have to lie like some of these Instagram famous models, but you should be mindful of your image and protect your reputation and show your truth on social media. The way that you portray yourself in everyday life to your family and friends should be mirrored by your social media. And we recognize that you should be able to communicate as you see fit. And while the digital age and the internet and these social media platforms, some of them amazing, and now they're incorporating AI features as well, they present a wonderful, incredible opportunity to connect with people around the world, but they also present some pitfalls that you can do. You can take certain, simple steps to avoid exposing yourself unnecessarily to negative things and negative aspects. One thing that comes to mind is also that, a lot of people take our advice. They don't post on social media about their accident, but they might make a comment about the insurance company. In fact, I've definitely settled cases where someone was suing a large manufacturer of goods and they never talked about their specific case, but for lack of a better term, they badmouth this manufacturer all over. Oh, this company is terrible. The products they sell are trash. You never want to buy anything from this company again. And I hope no one ever puts their dollars to work at this company for their products ever. That's the kind of thing that really makes our job as attorneys more difficult because it shows you in a light that can be taken out of context. And you really got to be careful because, that's classic defamation. You're allowed to share your opinions, of course, but if you paint with a broad brush and you start talking in objective facts about why a company isn't trustworthy or they're evil or they're all criminals, that kind of thing can go back to bite you and it's actionable. And we've seen manufacturers come back at people and sue them for defamation, both written, libel, and oral slander. So I would caution you, even though, your passions might be running hot, when you're injured and you're not liking that defense insurance company or you bought a product you just hate, feel free to leave a real, truthful review about your experience. But really, if you're facing litigation or you're a client of ours in a personal injury matter, the best advice I can give is just keep the phone down and don't post anything too specific.
I agree. I also
And
agree to 100% what you said. And check your privacy settings. Make sure everything is locked down. There's privacy settings in every single platform, So Facebook has some really good ones and they have a walkthrough to walk you through and you could actually click on a button and see what other people could see on your Facebook to make sure it's locked down.
Yeah, you make a good point. I mean, I recall a couple of years ago, we had a case where a young girl got bitten by a dog and just a really bad attack, multiple bites over a period of minutes before an adult was able to come and, separate the dog from the victim. This is a young girl that this happened to. And, in Nebraska, when a dog bites someone, the dog owner is strictly liable. We don't have to prove a lot other than that the bite happened. The problem sometimes is collecting damages from the dog owner. You can imagine someone that keeps a vicious dog and they're not very careful about it. Yeah, they may not be the most sophisticated investor. What we had to show was that the dog owner's mother, where the dog was kept, her insurance policy and the insurance carrier was aware that this dog was present on the property and aggressive. We did that by looking through the dog owner's Facebook page, which, as Michelle cautioned a second ago, it was not private. And we looked through that, and that gave us the ammunition that we needed to show that this person was training this dog to bite and hang from ropes off of trees. And there are multiple pictures of the dog on the property. And so, with that being the case, it became very hard for the insurance company to mount a defense that would preclude them from being aware that this dog was both aggressive and on the premises at the time that the mother lived there. So, in that case, settled for good and full value. So, yeah, I agree 100%. You got to keep your settings private if you don't want that stuff coming back to bite you, literally.
That's a great example of, armed with this information that we're talking about today, we can once in a while turn the tables on the insurance company and use that to our benefit. Yeah, I remember that case. The videos that he was posting of that dog jumping about 2.5 feet off the ground and hanging on that rope. And having seen the photos of the injured child, boy, it was chilling. But that helped tremendously in that case. I was sitting here thinking, was there anything you could post that couldn't come back to haunt you? And I was thinking about a case that goes a few years back. And same thing, go into Discovery, give us all your social media posts. I don't think that one went back 5 years, maybe 2, maybe from the time of the accident. And so everybody shakes their head. Okay, yeah, we'll do it. So we get the post, and there are only 2 posts. The first one with something like this, with no photos or anything. It's just, my husband has been injured. We welcome your prayers. The second post, 3 days later, thank you for your prayers. I thought, okay, insurance company, try to spin that. What are you going to do with that? So other than that, I can't think of a post other than maybe that one that Jay mentioned, where we turn the tables on the insurance company. Other than that, they always try to use something they find against you.
And
Unfortunately.
I think a lot of people, they get the wrong idea about what we do in our profession in the daily. I think some people, maybe this is less so now in the digital age, but I know when I was a kid, just watching TV of lawyers pounding the table and in court in front of the judge and the jury watching, and the lawyer, she's saying, I object, Your Honor, what cannot come in? It's irrelevant. And, a big gasp in the courtroom, and the stuff stays out. And that's amazing. And I hate to deflate us, but what we're trying to do is keep you out of court. We're trying to never get to that stage. And the less information the insurance company and the defendant has to use against you, the better. And believe me, Bill and I are experts at looking through everything. We turn over every rock. We go to every street corner. We interview every witness to try to find any information that we can use to provide color to the car accident or the dog bite or the premises liability case. We truly believe information is power. But when the tables are turned, we want no information coming to the other side. And so what people sometimes think is that we can object and keep these things out, but that only happens in a trial. And sometimes trials are necessary. But when we really do our job well, no trial is necessary, and we keep you out of court, and we're settling the case confidentially for full value.
Well said. Yeah, isn't it interesting, Jay? This is watching the Perry Mason and like shows. That's what drew us into law school. And then you discover, oh, it's not that easy.
Boy, those moments
don't-
never come along. Right.
If you or a loved one have suffered a serious personal injury, the experienced legal team at Steffens Law Offices can help. Call 402-433-3570 for a free case review. With personalized support and proven results, we assist injury victims throughout Nebraska in getting the compensation they deserve. Steffens Law Offices. Reclaim your life after an accident.
Anything you'd like to add, Michelle?
Yeah, I have a question. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on GoFundMe accounts? People set up these GoFundMe accounts to help them with their now expenses. And with those accounts, they have a journal. They update people how their loved one is doing. what information can they say on those kind of accounts?
I don't know if you want to take this, Bill, but I have some thoughts. I mean, that is a
Yeah.
fantastic question. And, GoFundMe is an excellent example. I would say, though, that I'm noticing a lot more platforms, especially YouTube, Instagram stories, GoFundMe accounts, that they're building a community. I think maybe around 10 years ago, social media started to shift. And it wasn't just we're creating content and shoving it down your throat. It was we want to build a community that's a two-way street between the people that are viewing and absorbing our content consumers and the content creators. And that creates a fantastic relationship that's two-way street. And along those lines, there's chatting that's going back and forth, comment posting and updates. I think the best thing you can do to answer your question is, especially on GoFundMe, is to be accurate. To be accurate. If you're, just as by way of an example, if your sister suffered a terrible accident and she's an injury victim, and she's got head injury and leg injury, and you want to keep people, and you're trying to maybe build a campaign for medical expenses, which is absolutely reasonable. I think it's perfectly okay to update them accurately about her injuries and her recovery. We as lawyers, we're never trying to change the truth or to hide the truth. In fact, most often we're trying to show insurance companies the truth. And in your example, Michelle, that would help greatly if we had a 6-month long record of a person getting injured, the GoFundMe campaign coming up, and then a record of updates to show, hey, she's walking again. Well, she's still limping and her crutches are now gone, but she's got a cane. Now the cane is coming off, but she's got to keep going into ortho follow-ups and physical therapy is starting. What a wonderful record for to stick down an insurance company's throat and say, hey, this client has been through hell on wheels, and look at all the pain and suffering she's gone through. Now, that may be thrown out of court for one reason or another, but early on pre-litigation matters, especially when it's coming from different people and people are talking about these injuries and saying, oh, I visited her, I saw her today, I signed her cast, whatever it is, it's hard to refute that type of evidence that our client, this injury victim, is going through a long journey of recovery. Yeah, that's my advice, is accuracy.
Yeah. As I listened to that, I really well explained, and I'm thinking, Mom always used to say, honesty is the best policy. And I'm thinking, if you're going to start a GoFundMe account, best be honest about everything and expect to be audited. A suit is filed. They'll dig into it and want all kinds of information.
On the other hand, if your sister's an offender bender, might not be a good idea to start the GoFundMe campaign to raise $1 million for medical expenses and go into her long and sordid, medical records. That doesn't sound accurate to me.
The GoFundMe party to Joe's Bar and Grill
Right.
in such a okay.
She drove a Honda. She needs a Corvette, everybody. Hey, I hope you're successful.
Okay. Well, let's see. We probably ought to wrap up. Really fun to talk with all of you and get your ideas on this. It is a serious matter, but I appreciate that we can always find a little humor in these things. But honestly, we hope the listeners today have maybe look at this with a little different lens and see that really everything they do on social media, somebody's watching, and if you're in an accident, it could be the very person you wouldn't want to hear what you're about to say or do. Any final remarks, Michelle?
No, I just thank you for that advice about GoFundMe, because I know, people want to keep their family in a loop, and that is a good source for that.
Absolutely. Hey, I got to say, before we sign off, Jesse, the flowers behind you, I just want to say happy anniversary, buddy.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
And my wife would kill
Nice.
me if I didn't say, hey, if you were a victim of an injury, if you're wondering about social media and you have questions, call us anytime or hit our website, stephenslaw.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Unshackled Reclaim Your Life. Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also visit stephenslaw.com to download the free book, Crash Course, 7 Strategies for a Successful Injury Claim, and connect with us on social media. We look forward to having you with us next time for more uplifting stories and practical advice to help you reclaim your life.